Well, good morning, everybody. I want to pick right up with where we left off last night with the in-depth ag forecast, and it's going to be a discussion about Hurricane Ian. As you watch the satellite imagery from last night, just as the sun was setting and we start to see the infrared imagery, you'll notice that as the main body of Hurricane Ian went over Cuba, it did open up an eye in the infrared imagery, and early this morning about 5 a.m. we can see the position of that eye. We do expect Ian to continue to intensify as it moves here over very favorable conditions toward Florida, and the latest update, which just was released at 5 a.m. Eastern Time, did confirm that this is now a Category 3 strength hurricane. So it is expected to continue to move toward the Tampa Bay area over the next 2 days. And unfortunately, just like we discussed last night, the hurricane's forward speed is expected to slow down. Some of the more important shifts we've seen in the latest evidence here from the Hurricane Hunter, once that data got ingested into the forecast models, is that it's now projected to go a bit farther to the east before making this turn and weakening to a tropical depression over parts of the southeast. So just as we discussed yesterday, the main factor that's slowing this down is this deformation band right here. So this is a front. You can see the flow on either side of it coming around the deeper trough over the Great Lakes, kind of pushing that colder air up against this and really prohibiting this from just accelerating into this kind of a saddle point here. So as a result, this is going to really increase the flood threat and also the time over which Hurricane Ian can produce strong hurricane force winds. So let's just take a look at the European model's forecast for maximum wind gust, and what we're going to see here is that there is the potential in this region for getting wind speeds over 100 miles an hour. It appears that the strongest winds will stay for the most part offshore, and we do expect a pretty quick weakening of this system as it comes across Florida. But having wind gusts in this whole area that you see me kind of outlining here that are tropical storm force or higher is very possible. So we could see wind gusts 60 to 80 miles an hour, and that would of course even get us up into the hurricane category 1 strength. Into the interior parts of the southeast, gusts 30 to 50 miles an hour are possible with Hurricane Ian. So let's go ahead and just have a quick look at the latest European guidance for this. So as we play through Tuesday night, getting here into Wednesday morning, Wednesday midday, that's where we could be seeing the hurricane's eye approaching the coast here of Florida, just south of Tampa. So that would be Wednesday at 1 p.m. We go forward to 7 p.m. on Wednesday. Then at about overnight, Wednesday night into Thursday morning, that's when the center of the circulation could be very close to Tampa Bay. Now, if you'll notice, this forward speed is slowing down through Thursday morning, Thursday afternoon, and evening, and that's where the heaviest rain could start to spread over a broad section here of Florida. And then this is going to just open up and spread rain on Friday, getting into Saturday and Sunday, extending as far west and north as the Tennessee and Ohio valleys, stretching into the Appalachian Mountains. And then early next week on Sunday into Monday and Tuesday, what's left of Ian could continue to spread some rain over parts of the mid-Atlantic down through the Carolinas. Total rainfall, let's just add it up real quick with the latest model runs. And so here we go. This is 7 p.m. on Wednesday. Let's stop it right out here, which would be through 7 p.m. on Friday. During that time frame, anywhere between 10 and 20 inches of rain are possible in this large swath of Florida here. And then going through the weekend, the heavier rains start to spread into the southeast, getting into parts of the Tennessee and Ohio Valley, and then eventually here into parts of the Mid-Atlantic and the Carolinas. So there's the possibility of 3 to 5 inches of additional rainfall in parts of Georgia, for example, or pushing up against the Appalachian Mountains. So that's kind of the latest we've got, and it really just continues the narrative we discussed here in the last couple of days on the forward speed of this particular hurricane slowing down. Now, if you're outside of that, much of the next 10 days is dry, and we're going to see wide open harvest windows from Texas to the lower Mississippi River Valley, through the Midwest, extending all the way here into the upper Midwest. We'll talk about the frost threat in just a few seconds. The only reason why we're seeing lower chances of having less than a half inch here is there is a system we need to watch coming through the Pacific Northwest initially and then coming out here in parts of the Intermountain West. And to do that, let's just broaden our view out here from the 0Z ECMWF to the whole country. So we've seen Ian. We know about the showers today that are spreading throughout parts of the Northeast, but high pressure quickly comes in behind that on Wednesday, and that's going to be the source of a frost in parts of the Corn Belt. I'll show you that in a second. But what I'm watching now is on Wednesday night, this low that comes into the Pacific Northwest, spreads some rain into parts of Idaho and Montana, and then attempts to kind of emerge here in the western plains or early this weekend. But the latest model trends have just kept the pressure much higher to the east and really limited the chances for this to really come out here into the plains. So we take this on out there about a week, and we just see there'll be a broad sector of the country that really doesn't see much in the way of precipitation at all. So to distill that discussion down, I've got the week 1 precipitation anomalies on the left and the week 2 precipitation anomalies on the right. Now, what will be important to be watching will be after this first week of October, how the Pacific jet stream changes. We could start to see more frequent low pressure systems rolling through, more than likely coming through the northwest and rolling across the northern tier of the United States, becoming a bit more disruptive to harvest. But for much of the next 10 days, we've got wide open windows in the midsection of the country. What I'll be watching for is this. See this trough coming off of this part of Asia? See the next trough that's settling in here? These two features could help pick up the momentum in the jet stream, and that just tends to increase the chances, again, once we get past the first full week of October, of seeing more frequent storm systems when we are across the central part of the United States. So we'll keep that discussion going. Early this morning, just taking a look at the 5 a.m. temperatures this morning, we were watching the temperatures fall in this area, and that is right now where we have frost and freeze advisories. So real quick look at our all hazards weather map. Of course, hurricane watches, warnings, tropical storm warnings, and flood watches for Florida. This is all fire weather outlook down here. We saw wildfires yesterday, but again, this will be the area we're going to keep an eye on for our frost risk. Under the ridge in the west, we do have a couple of points over here where there are red flag warnings, and then we still have the excessive heat warnings out for parts of California. But back to this frost discussion before I take a look at those high temperatures. This is what I'm worried about for tomorrow. Tomorrow morning seems to be the coolest day in the Midwest, and everywhere that I have kind of highlighted in gray here from the National Digital Forecast Database may touch a low temperature of 32 degrees Fahrenheit. It's about 7 to 10 days early in this part of the Midwest. We would expect the first frost around that first week of October rather than last week of September. So this is a bit early in this area. We'll just have to see if it stays cold enough for long enough to do any sort of damage. So let's go in there and look at those low temperatures first of all. So here's this morning's lows. We're expecting to bottom out over the next hour or so. And then we're going to look tomorrow. You see that white contour? That's where we could get those overnight lows below 32. And you can see a lot of low 30s around it, which means low-lying areas could hit 32 as well. Thursday, it's primarily confined to northern Wisconsin, UP Michigan, and the northern parts of lower Michigan. And then into Friday, the frost risk moves into parts of New England. But after that, more warmer air does try to return. So the high temperatures today, very cool in the trough, but look how hot it is in parts of southern California and in the Pacific Northwest. Into Wednesday, a lot of heat really pushes into the Pacific Northwest and northern plains. Here's the trough coming in late this week on Thursday, bringing in the unsettled weather, and that spreads over the Intermountain West here on Friday, getting into Saturday. So that's kind of our temperature outlook through early next week. Beyond that, let's just take a quick look at the 5-day sliding window of temperatures. Really tapping into, Arctic air at this point with the jet stream pattern doesn't seem possible as we work through the first week of October, but I do expect a pattern change overall once we get past that first week of October. We'll cover more of that soon. Lastly, just a couple of things to look at in the report today. I do kind of open up again the discussion about what's going to happen between October 7th and November 7th. We show you the latest updates from the European long range. And also there's a discussion about South America. We see heavy rains in central South America, but continued drought pressures in Argentina, especially along the Paraná River. And this is going to continue, I think, to be a problem. So we'll keep you up to date on all of this and how La Nina continues to have a grip on this. And I'll report back to you again tomorrow. Thanks.